Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
This is Doyle. You're listening to Spirit Talk Show, Bedtime Stories for Grown-Ups, where we explore who we are and how we connect through stories that challenge, that reveal, and sometimes even unsettle us. Tonight, we're heading straight into the heart of danger, desire, family loyalty, and the high-stakes world of global power. My guest, Tim Reuben, Harvard College and Harvard Law School graduate, veteran trial attorney, and author of the explosive new thriller, Tequila. This is Tim's first wholly fictional novel, but it reads with the kind of authority only a trial lawyer with decades of battle experience could bring to the page. Tequila stretches across continents, from the sacred agave fields of Mexico to Manhattan boardrooms, the dark waters of the Gulf, and the misty moors of Scotland, as three generations of the Ramirez family fight for control over a multi-billion-dollar tequila empire. Murder, cartels, corruption, forbidden love, courtroom battles, power plays that rival Shakespeare, and a moral center anchored by Brian Youngman, a Los Angeles attorney pulled deeper than he ever intended into a world where justice comes at a price. Tim infuses the novel with everything he knows: ambition, legal warfare, betrayal, family frailty, and the high cost of survival in a world where loyalty and power rarely coexist. When he's not in the courtroom or writing, you'll find him hiking with his wife and two big dogs, playing tennis or golf, or enjoying aged spirits, including, of course, tequila. Tequila is available right now on Amazon. You can go to timreuben.com, and this one is going to leave a mark. So settle in. Tonight we're talking cartels, corruption, family betrayal, love under fire, and the surprising humanity at the heart of Tim Reuben's explosive debut, Tequila. So Tim, you had a really long, successful career as a trial lawyer. So what made you sit down one day and say, okay, it's time to start writing? Were you ready to get out of the lawyer work, or was there some inspiration?
Well, no. I always wanted to write. I started writing when I was in college, actually even in high school. But the truth is, when you become a lawyer, if you're going to do it well, you have to devote yourself to it. So I finished law school. I just didn't have the time or the focus or the energy. I was putting everything into my career.
Yeah.
And therefore, this had to wait. And then, of course, what happens is I had children, 4 of them, and decided to coach each and every one of them in basketball and baseball and soccer. So I was devoted as a father and still working very hard. I started my own law firm in 1992. So that takes a lot of work and effort on my part. And this just had to wait. But guess what? The kids are gone. Yeah. And now I have the time to climb the mountain that I had wanted to climb and always intended to climb. In fact, promised myself that I would climb back when I was just out of law school. And since I was able to have the time and focus, and I work all day, but then I would, at 5 o'clock, I'd come home and spend, instead of having cocktails at cocktail hour, I'd write about tequila instead. And so it was always my goal or intent to do this, to get one of these things. It was on the list. And so I really enjoyed it. In fact, I have already drafted the first version of a second book, which is coming out, well, hopefully next year. And it is a prequel to Tequila. And then I am starting on the third. So go figure.
So you graduated Harvard Law School. You had a great career as a trial attorney. And then this explosive new thriller is released. It's called Tequila, a global saga of family, power, and survival. Is that the title of it? Or is it just called Tequila?
Well, it is called Tequila, and that should do it, but there's a subtitle, A Story of Success, Love, and Violence.
Okay.
And it is a story of success, love, and violence. It's a fair description. In fact, I have to tell you, if you go on Amazon and you just type in tequila, you're going to get bottles of tequila. So you have to either type in tequila in my name or tequila, A Story of Success, and then you'll get there to the book. It's a wonderful, wonderful idea that I thought I came up with, and I'm really excited about it. It's been out just over a month now, and from all I'm getting in terms of responses, it's doing pretty well.
Great. And it sounds like it's something. It is expansive, but it sounds like something that could get an option for a movie. It seems very movie makeable, right? So maybe you'll be going even further on this first one.
Well, that's true. I think more series than movie because it's kind of too long for a movie. And we will probably give it to a couple of agents and see if they can get it sold. You never know about these things.
Well, hey.
Hollywood is a strange place.
I know. You got to try, right? So,
Was there a spark behind Tequila, like a character or a legal case or a moment, a question in your life that sparked Tequila?
Well, there were many legal cases actually. There wasn't one because Tequila is totally fictional, but I've had so many different cases my whole career and met so many different people, so many different scenarios that this is really just a composite of various experiences and ideas and some imagination, hopefully, as well, to create these characters and this story. And I also love Mexico. Have gone down there many, many times and enjoyed it tremendously. I love the people, the whole country, except there's one issue that Mexico has, as you know, and it's the cartels. And they've created lots of terrible things down there. So that makes me kind of sad. That said, that was part of the inspiration. Certainly have tasted a lot of tequila down there, I should add.
Of course, yeah.
well, wow. So, of course, Howie's family is from Mexico, so they are from the area too. So but where do they, you said the agave fields, is that, there's actually a specific place in Mexico they grow agave?
Oh,
Well, they grow agave all over Mexico, but you have to be in a certain area in order for it to be called tequila. Otherwise, it's mezcal. I mean, it's kind of like, champagne. It can only be coming from a certain location in France.
Yeah, I know.
If it's a bubbly wine from other places, you got to call it something else. You can't call it champagne. Same with tequila. And tequila comes in a lot of different producers at this point. And you can have a wonderful party with tequila. Just have a bunch of different tequilas and tastings, and people just have the grandest time. Hopefully, you'll have some chips and guacamole along the way.
I think this man might own some stock in tequila here. We're getting we have tequila parties we're doing right now. So, like your novel is huge in scope. Mexico, Manhattan, the Gulf, like Scotland. Why did you what drew you to such a really big international canvas?
Well, I wanted to make it fun. Part of the fun, I think, of tequila is it's a little bit of a travel log. You're going to move to a lot of different places. You've got all those places: Houston, Miami, Mexico. You go to Scotland, London, Paris. You're even in Jamaica. The truth is that it's just more interesting to a reader to be moving around. So I tried to make it interesting in that way, just like I tried to jump from time to time. So we go forward in history in time to the current day, and then we'll go back in time. And I tried to make short chapters so that the reader would move quickly. It's a fast read. Even though it's not a short book, you read it really quickly. I've been told by everyone they zip through it, and they love the short chapters. And every chapter, you're moving maybe to a different location or a different time zone and a different character and a different subplot. So I want to keep the reader's interest, and it's just more fun to read a book like that. I don't like long chapters. I don't. And I don't like books which stay in just one place. I like to move around.
Yeah, I agree with you. I prefer TV shows that are traveling. So, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah. So your antagonists are the Ramirez brothers. Is that correct? Miguel and Tomaso.
In your book?
In your
If I heard you correctly, you were asking about Miguel and Tomaso, the two brothers of
Yeah,
Maria
yeah.
that are part of the Ramirez family. Miguel located in Miami and Tomaso in Los Angeles.
what was your what can you tell us what your process was for creating these people who are terrifyingly real?
Yes, I am happy to talk about that. First of all, thank you for saying they are real. The character of Tommaso, who is the youngest brother, is somebody that I think we all have seen. We've all seen a guy who's inherited wealth and he basically does nothing. He's kind of a do nothing person, living off the wealth that his family has provided to him. And he's a drunk. He doesn't really accomplish anything. He's not much of a father. He dials it in. He ends up having an affair with someone else. He has a lousy marriage. Basically, I've seen this guy before on multiple occasions. And, you know, it's not just as a lawyer. When I go as a parent, I meet all kinds of other parents. And every once in a while, you're going to meet a parent like Tommaso, who is, you know, a disappointing fellow, and not worthy of the life that he leads, and yet he looks down on others inappropriately. You will meet Tommaso in your life if you have not met him, and I wanted to make that a very real character, and obviously not a likable character. I want my bad guys to be negative, to be bad, to be clearly bad, that you look at them as someone you don't want to be and you don't want to like, and you absolutely do not root for. And so Tommaso does make a little bit of a metamorphosis, but at the end of the day, he's just not a guy that you're ever going to like. But you will see him in the world lots.
So,
Miguel is a different story, though.
yeah.
The other bad guy, Miguel, is pure sociopath. I hope you never meet Miguel. I have met Miguel. I mean, I've met characters like that because I practice law and I've had all kinds of cases. And there are people in the world, and I don't want any excuses made for these people. They're just bad people, and they're going to do bad things, and you can expect it from them. And some of them are very glib and attractive. Sociopaths frequently are, and I tried to make Miguel that way. He's an attractive but, you know, somewhat ambiguous looking person, and he's smooth, he's effective, but he does awful things throughout the book.
So that makes me think about how I think about, because you obviously have a lot of experience with these kind of people. You said you did, and you met them. So the book is about cartels, corruption, and murder. So how do you balance the authenticity, responsibility between writing, like writing these guys, but you're presenting this very dangerous world, right? So how do you balance, like, I want to be authentic, but
That's an interesting question, really. I mean, it is a dangerous world. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, many of us try to live in a bubble where we avoid dangerous locations, but there are plenty of them. And if you read the media and the paper, the reports of some of the things that have happened in Mexico over the last 10, 15, 20 years, and I read them, I pay attention to Mexico, you see some horrible stories, some really distressing things. And so that is very real, and it adds an element to the story, which is not just real, but creates a kind of a drama. And the drama and the circumstances allow me to develop the characters too. Because if you remember, there are portions, I don't want to give away to people who haven't read the book, but there are portions where our protagonists have to battle very negative forces, and they have the strength and the wit and the ability to succeed. And that's exciting, and it also allows me to enhance who they are. Because and my favorite character, by the way, in the book is Maria. Maria is a marvelous, marvelous person. I mean, she is a composite character of 4 or 5 women that I've known over my life who are fabulous people. She's a CEO. She's brilliant, talented, capable, will do what is necessary. She's a mother
Mm-hmm.
also, and she has to work with a child that has medical issues. And let me tell you something, she expresses self-doubt about herself. She's uncertain and she makes mistakes. She's very human in that way. But we also put her in positions that, and sometimes the cartel people help me do that, that demonstrate her strength, her talent, her resourcefulness, her willingness to do that which is necessary for things to go well.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bad, and I'm talking about Miguel and all the negative, allows me to enhance and improve the look of the good. And the good is something that I'm hoping will inspire people. I mean, I hope people who read the book think, oh, gee, I want to be more like Maria, or I want to be more like Brian. I think that's a good thing that art can do, is inspire people and encourage them to the right direction.
Hmm.
And the worse the bad guys are, the more obviously they are bad, then that obviously directs someone to think, oh, I want to be like the good guys.
I like it made me think of the salt on the rim of tequila, like of a margarita. Like Miguel's the salt, and Maria is a sweet margarita in there, and it enhances the margarita. It enhances the Maria inside by having that kind of salt on the rim. that
That's funny. You're not a fan of salt, apparently.
oh,
Oh,
I am a fan of
actually, he
salt,
is.
but I'm like I'm from Ireland. That's the only spice we eat, to be honest. They don't eat a lot of spice in Ireland, but I'm saying in the process, the purpose of the salt and the margarita, right? Isn't it to have something bitter?
Is the contrast.
Is to hunt and
Contrast.
yeah, maybe, and I don't want to. It's such an Irishman to make an alcohol like analogy when you're talking about it. But let me ask you: a lot of authors we've spoken to kind of sometimes talk about the creative process as something that kind of almost is taken out of their hands, right? Like the creators, the characters kind of write themselves. Was there any character you wrote that surprised you who just refused to follow what you had planned, and he kind of went his own way?
Well, yes, I would agree with that as an idea. I mean, that means you're making a real character. And what happens when you start creating a real character is the characters do somewhat take over, because you realize you have to write the character consistently. And so as the scenario continues, they do the things that make sense for who they are. And I suppose that's how, in effect, the characters write themselves. You can't have a character do something obviously wrong. Miguel is a perfect example. He's not going to do something good. So when I'm writing Miguel, whatever direction he goes, it's not going to be a nice one. By the same token, if I'm writing Maria, if she's doing something, she's going to do it with clarity and grace. She's going to be classy. She's going to be smart, interesting, all of those things. So in that sense, you're right. The characters do start writing themselves. But here's the thing about writing. You start, at least I started, with a general idea and a general plot. And then as you develop the characters and the plot does evolve. And that is a combination of the logic of the characters and where you think we ought to go with this story. So it is both the author who's directing and the characters who beckon the author on in a particular direction. So it's correct that the authors who have told you that was my experience, more or less.
Wow. Well, yeah, a lot of authors have explained this same thing about the creative process because you want them to be real people. But let's talk about characters in your book. There's a Brian Youngman. He's an LA attorney. Is that a character in your book? And he has this moral clarity. Is that the character that's most attached to your experience, legal experience? That's you.
Well, a lot of people have told me that the character Brian Youngman bears somewhat of a resemblance to me. And in a sense, that's a real compliment because I tried to make him kicking. I tried to make him great.
Yeah.
But the fact is that he is a trial lawyer and I am a trial lawyer, and he and cares about his clients. But he took a very different path in his career than I did. So Brian Youngman graduates law school, and he's very bright, capable, has lots of offers to go to big firms and make big money.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't want to do that. I want to do good in the world. But what I don't want to do is help out bad people. So he chooses the district attorney path. Now, here's the thing about DEAs, district attorneys, a lot of great trial lawyers, a lot of great people. But what do? They're busy prosecuting people and putting them in jail. They do have an attitude about the law and the need to follow the law. They don't have the kind of flexibility in their thinking as a defense lawyer might have, where they might say, oh, I'm sympathetic. Their job is to essentially not be that sympathetic. Oh, certain circumstances, yes, but their job is to do the process of government, which is to prosecute. So when they come out like that and they leave the DA's office, there's usually a growth process. And I think Brian goes through that growth process because now he's a private lawyer and he's got to deal with things a little differently. And he struggles, I think, to deal with that change of, hey, only the right way. And one of the problems that he encounters during this particular novel is that he is a little too strict about following the law and that you have to turn in the bad guys and prosecute them. And maybe he could have been a little bit more flexible. And Maria points that out to him at one moment in the novel. If he had been a little bit more flexible, maybe things wouldn't have ended as badly in some ways.
Wow. Well, okay, so people are listening. We should remind them every once in a while that this is from Tim Reuben's book, Tequila, which is available right now in Amazon, right? And it's available anywhere you can buy books, I'm sure.
And you can go to timreuben.com if you'd like. You can definitely order it from there, or you can read more about the book or the reviews of the book. They're posted on my website, and it's an easy way to get in and find out if it's something you want to buy and read about.
Yeah, and you're writing the prequel right now. I think,
I do have the prequel first draft done, and it's out for people to read and comment on. And I think it's pretty good. I'm happy with it.
Okay.
It's got to be shaped because you do a lot of work. When I wrote Tequila and I sent it out to the editors, I thought, oh, this is in pretty good shape. They sent it back to me and I had like 8,000 different comments. And, some of them were just comma here, comma there, but there are a lot of comments.
That's fine.
Many useful comments, by the way. My editors helped me a lot.
Well, I think we need to. It has a Breaking Bad feel to me. I think we need to talk to those producers because they're the people who need to make a miniseries out of this, right? It seems like that feels very Breaking Bad-ish, right? But maybe that's just because it's cartel. But it feels like the story requires someone who can really get into the meat of it and make a really good production, I'm sure.
Well, certainly we want a good production. Some have described it as Succession meets Narcos. If you are familiar with that. And it's a little bit like that, but I always remember, and now I'm going to date myself, do you remember the old Dallas, the story of Dallas? And
I do, yes.
And, these are, and they had a bunch of them at the time, like Falcon Crest or whatever. There were these family sagas. So this is a family saga, but it's also a legal thriller. And it's also a travelogue, as they said, and it's an adventure story. So I've tried to put all these things into the book, and I think it's one of those books that you can read it at age 20 and you can read it at age 80. There's stuff in there for everybody, and you will know the characters. Some of them, one of the characters is named Nora, and Nora is, well, let's call her a gold digger. That's what she was. She was very attractive, and she found a rich guy, and she got him to marry her, and then she got pregnant right away, and then she lived the high life. But if you read Tequila and you read about Nora, I've been told over and over again, oh, I know Nora.
Yeah.
People have said they have seen her in various places. So it's really true. And there's an 18-year-old in the book, actually 17 turning 18, and a young, wonderful high school senior who feels she's fat. I have seen so many of these young kids wrongly look at their self-image issues and they think, oh, I don't look great. And that's unfortunate. And so I think you'll see characters who have the traits that you see all the time. And that allows you, I hope, to connect with the book.
Wow, that's cool. So Tim, we do this thing on our show where we research you, we look at all your websites and blogs, and we scrape around and we find things, and then we produce a story, which is a tribute story to Tim Reuben, which we'd like to read now. Now you can read it if you'd like, or we can have the velvet voice of Howie read it to you. If you would like to read it, I could share the screen, and of course you could read it. But it's a one-page.
Oh no, I want to hear the velvet voice of Howie. That's exciting.
Everybody says that as like I sell you, Howie. Yeah. Okay, so here is the story, the tribute story to Tim Reuben.
Before Tim Reuben the title is The Man Who Turned the Courtroom into a Battleground of Story. Before Tim Reuben ever wrote a single word of Tequila, he had already lived a lifetime in the trenches of conflict. A Harvard-trained lawyer, a man fluent in the language of pressure and persuasion, Tim spent years in courtroom where every sentence mattered and every truth had to be earned. He didn't just argue cases. He carried people's stories, raw, painful, and complicated stories, into courtrooms where justice was never guaranteed. Maybe that's why, when he finally stepped into the world of fiction, he didn't dip a toe. He dove headfirst into the kind of story only someone who has stared human ambition in the eye could write. In Tequila, Tim didn't craft a simple thriller. He built an empire of family power, cartel showdowns, forbidden love, and the razor-thin edge where morality meets survival. He wove the Ramirez family dynasty across continents, stitching together agave fields, boardrooms, and bloodlines into a tapestry as vast as it is intimate. Maria Ramirez became the beating heart of that tapestry, a woman fighting wolves disguised as brothers, trying to salvage the empire she was born into. And then there's Brian Youngman, the attorney with a spine of ethics and a heart he wishes he could keep out of the case. Brian is the kind of character only a lawyer like Tim could write. Someone trapped between duty, desire, and the truth that justice always demands a price. Tim wrote these people the way he knows people in crisis truly behave. Messy, desperate, noble in moments they never expected, and dangerous in ways they never intended. His legal mind built the scaffolding. His storytelling heart set it on fire. Tim didn't write Tequila to entertain. He wrote it because the characters wouldn't leave him alone, because the world he created kept expanding, pushing him deeper into the shadows and the light of human nature. And when the last chapter hit the page, something shifted. The man who had spent years fighting inside courtrooms discovered that the stories he carried could ignite a different kind of justice, the kind that happens in the soul of the reader. Tequila isn't just a novel. It's a reckoning with family, loyalty, betrayal, power, and the breathtaking cost of survival. Tim Reuben didn't just write a thriller. He wrote a world, and once you walk into it, you don't walk out unchanged.
Well, there you go. There's your tribute story, Tim. What'd you think?
That was just amazing. I mean, thank you. That was amazing. I'm glad that I didn't read it. I could have not gotten through that, and that was quite something. Thank you very much. Very nice.
We will share this document with you, which has our questions and intro and questions we were going to ask, and we might not get through it all because, we have as I'm sure when you go into court, sometimes you over prepare because if this doesn't work, I'm going to go here. If this doesn't work, I'm going to do this. So sometimes there's more stories than we intend because, when we get the person on, we want them, if they're not a great talker, which you are, it's good to have other things to do and talk about. So, wow. So tell us, so the prequel is going to be based in that same world. Are you going to write something else in that world, or do you have another genre you want to go into?
Well, no, the prequel is really about Brian Youngman. The prequel doesn't have the Ramirez family in it. The sequel is really a continuation of Tequila. It has the Ramirez family in it, and it basically it shows what happens a few years after the end of Tequila. The sequel also has the characters, not just from Tequila, but from this prequel. Prequel is called Vodka or Gin. Vodka or Gin. That's the name of the prequel. It is obviously a book a little bit about choice. But it's also a book about Brian Youngman and his early days. There's a trial that occurs in the prequel, cross-examination of witnesses and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of issue. I don't want to say legal issues, but there's a lot of legal drama, is what I would say in the prequel. It's not complicated or anything like that. I try to take any boring legal stuff out of there if I possibly can. And so I think I've succeeded in that, because let's face it, a lot of law is just plain boring, and I don't want to write boring stuff.
Well, I was going to say that I really appreciate you have a way about you that's engaging and it's encouraging. And I'm saying I've been around like there's attorneys I've met that have been very straight, and there's not a lot of like room for creativity, and sometimes it seems like emotion, right? Because they're very fact based and they read in this. Because when you read in court, I'm sure it's a very fact based reading. You're not doing the creative, flowery reading that we do when we write. So I appreciate like your demeanor. I feel like I'm enjoying like hearing about your world. So thank you for that.
Well, that was very nice to say. And by the way, I will say this about at least the way I am in court. I mean, I probably tend to the over dramatic, not the under dramatic. So I am that. But the other thing I do, and I try to do when I'm making an argument, is I like to see if there's a lightness that I can put into the discussion. There are serious issues, but if I can make the judge or the jury laugh, that's a win for me. And so I try to do that, try to be human. And by the way, I think trial lawyers who are good at their task can just relate to people. They can connect in ways, and that is a special talent. I'm trying to do that as an author now, to try to connect to people and reach people. And hopefully that this will work, and people will be affected and impacted by the book, and I'd like that.
So it seemed like the Tequila Empire, the center of your story, feels really detailed. So what kind of like research did you do to get an understanding? Like, how do you know that world so well?
Well, as I said, here's the truth. I've been practicing for so long and seen so many different cases and scenarios of all types. So, for example, if you're talking about mega companies, I've handled cases involving mega companies. You talk about families and trusts. I've handled disputes in families of all types. I've been to all the places that I talk about in Tequila. But you're right about one thing. There is some research in writing and should be done. And even something that I think I know about, I may go about checking in on the internet to see if there's some spark that I see, something that gives me a new idea, even though I'm looking at an old place or a place I'm familiar with. And I'll give you a couple of examples. By the way, the research is fun. That's one of the fun things about writing, is you get to learn something new. That you research things that you wouldn't have expected. An example of that is in the book, someone is obtaining a fake ID. And that's part of what that character needs to do. And I had never obtained a fake ID. And so I researched how to do it. And I was astonished how easy it is to get a fake ID. I mean, there are lots of businesses online that anyone can go to and just get a great fake ID from all kinds of states. Never thought that was the case. So you get surprised by that. And that was a learning experience for me. Another example is I had to learn about, I wanted to check what kinds of wild berries or wild fruit grows in the Caribbean and is edible and will not kill you. Like it's not poisonous. And that was something I had to make sure I was right about before I started putting it into the book. So there are these little specialty areas. Now, the issues of bad guys, that is bad cartel types. Well, honestly, and this is sad. I mean, you don't have to do that much research about that because I've been reading about that or know about it through the legal world anyway for years and years and years. I mean, I've had cases where they were impacted by the criminal cases then because there's money laundering going on or something like that. So I've seen these things in the real world, and then of course I read about them myself, and that was not really hard for me to learn. So it's really the specialty areas that I found I had to research and learn about. But as I say, it was fun. The other thing that was kind of fun is there's little bits of history in tequila, and that was important to me. So, for example, in the early stages where they're trying to grow this company and they're producing and distributing alcohol, it was in the 50s. And the 50s were a time which was post-World War II. Mm-hmm. And the attitude of Americans was very significant. They wanted to have these cocktail parties then. They wanted to forget about the traumas of war. And so that actually helps the tequila empire grow. So, there's a little bit of that stuff going on in there. And that was fun to think about.
That's interesting that, that alcohol, probably a lot of people came back from the war and alcohol probably became very important to people after the war. But I was going to ask you, so were the moments was the moments where your left brain and your novelist's brain clashed in the process?
That's a funny way to think of it. And my brain does conflict with itself from time to time, but not exactly that way. The fact is that I didn't find that was challenging. I could switch from legal writing. I over my career published 50, 60 learned articles about the law. Terribly boring, dry. They would only be interesting to someone who's interested in that particular area of the law. But this was fun to change, to write something that was supposed to be just enjoyable to read and something that anyone could read. Mm-hmm. So I found the transfer from, say, called legal writing to doing this kind of writing effortless for me. It was just really terrific to kind of almost let myself go and not have to be so rigid in the way I wrote. And that was easy enough to do. And then let's face it, I think that writing a book, it's a mountain to climb. That's one of the reasons I did it. I thought, I got to climb that mountain. And this mountain is not easy to climb. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of discipline to write a book. Mm-hmm. I know that now. I didn't know how hard it would be until I did it, which is like a lot of mountains that you climb. You think, I can do that. And then you start climbing and you say, whoa, this is tough. But anyway, what I discovered when I was climbing that mountain is that, you have to have a degree of creativity and all of that, but there's just plain hard work. Yeah. Just plain old-fashioned hard work, which all of us have to do in our various jobs or whatever it is at times. And you realize, this is just discipline and put your nose to the grindstone and get it done. And so if there was a time where I would say I felt maybe a little bit of a block or a little nervous about, I would just kind of slap myself in the face and say, come on, get going, discipline yourself and push on. And then, as you pointed out at the very beginning of this discussion, the characters helped me. Mm-hmm. They helped me. They said, okay, we're ready to go. Let's go, writer, start typing. And then you find, at least I found, I couldn't type quickly enough. I couldn't get it down fast enough. It just, my fingers couldn't go that quickly. And that's a good experience, let me tell you.
Wow, that's so cool.
Beyond the action and the twists, aside from all of the excitement in your books, is there a deeper message that you hope the readers will take away from Tequila?
Well, I sure hope so. I mean, first of all, I do want them to just enjoy it, have fun reading it, whether it's on the beach or a comfortable armchair or in the woods or wherever it is you like to read, or before bed or whatever. So first, enjoy. It's part of life to enjoy things. But the loyalty to the family is a really important theme. Family and loyalty. The characters care about their family. I mean, Sotero so wanted to create something to protect and serve and help his family, not just his immediate family, but as Sotero, of course, was the patriarch, the person who started the company, who developed the whole idea, and he was just a simple farmer. So the desire to help and support your family is important, but the contrapoint is no family's normal. We know that about families. Every family, I don't care whose family, has their issues. Mm-hmm. And let's be realistic about our families. There are some members of our family that create a degree of challenge or negativity or whatever you want to call it, and you have to be realistic about that. One of the mistakes that Maria had is she is so loyal and supportive of her family that she allows her two brothers, a little bit too much leeway, and they do some things that they shouldn't be doing, and then she's got to figure out how to address those problems. So it's family loyalty is key, but realistic view of your family. Then I have a few comments along the way about this, that, or the other. The legal system is one, and the police, and I have a few little minor comments that I do make about a lot of different things, and you'll see that.
Okay.
But I do think family is important, and we all are part of that. We all have a family of some kind.
So let me clarify something. You said the sequel. So the sequel is written, or you're going to do a sequel? Because you said the sequel.
No, the prequel is written.
Yeah.
And the sequel I'm actually writing right now.
Okay, so there is going to be a sequel because you had said you'd written the prequel. I got that, but then you were talking about in the sequel, saying, "Oh, well, I guess there's going to be a sequel too." So this is going to be a trilogy, right? When we get
maybe at least 3.
Yeah.
I'm careful not to say trilogy because I can't see beyond right now what happens after the sequel. I'm kind of focused on that right now and putting that all together. And it's also goes to a lot of different places. By the way, that's the good news. In that way, it's similar to Tequila. You'll have a lot of places in the world and a lot of characters, and there's going to be a lot of financial issues and things like that. So it is similar in style and flavor to Tequila, whereas the prequel is kind of a different horse. Yeah. Still a thriller, but it has a little bit more, I would say, legal drama than both Tequila and the sequel.
Okay, so we take the word like trilogy out. We'll call it like Tim Reuben's Empire of Tequila, the world, the universe of Tequila. So
I call it the Spirits series.
The Spirits,
because
okay,
of course, they are spirits, and then the spirits is an ambiguous word or has multiple meanings, shall we say? But Tequila, the first book, the prequel is vodka or gin. Mm-hmm. We're still in spirits. And right now, my working title for the sequel is Whiskey Sour.
That's funny. And you came on Spirit Talk Show, which is not, which has multiple like meanings too. That's why I use the word like spirit, as in the spirit of connection, and but also we did some paranormal stuff at the beginning too. So yeah,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
Paranormal.
we actually I'm a science guy and I live in a house, a converted farmhouse built in the 50s, and really after when I got my divorce, really strange, unexplained things happened there that are hard to explain away, and things other people experienced them, and TV crews came and investigation groups came, and they have things on video, and there's pictures on the internet of things from my house, and it's like, so it's that's why I got into it, because I thought I'm going to talk to people about paranormal stuff, but then it moved into this like connection and these stories, and it moved on. But I kept the name Spirit Talk Show because I thought it still meant spirit of connection, the spirit of how we talk, and the spirit of community. So maybe I kept it because I just had the domain name. I'm going to stick with my first story, right? So.
I like the story. I like the story, and obviously, I agree with the word spirit. Yeah. Because I'm using it too. And of course, I have an additional meaning to yours because I don't think you intended to talk about alcohol.
Well, I am Irish, so it probably was in there somewhere. So, I am from Ireland.
Irish whiskey is wonderful.
Oh, and, I only drink Jamesons. Come on.
Yeah. That's the question. Which one do you drink?
Well, when I go into the bar, I used to say whiskey and Coke, but now it's Jamesons and Coke. Come on, don't even play. Because they'll give you the girls like whiskey if you don't specifically say. I think they still give you the whiskey even if you say Jameson Patrick. a bar we go to, our barman is called Patrick, and he's probably going to hear this, and I talked about him. Yeah, I know you're not giving me Jameson's, Patrick. Okay, so if you when you're,
I was going to say you should also see the House of Guinness. If you looked at that, that's a little bit about the Ireland and the creation of that beer brand.
I do want to see it, and I'm going to see it, and it's on BritBox, I think. So I like BritBox. But have you actually have you been to Ireland and done the Guinness tour there?
So no, it's funny that you asked that question, because that is one of the few places that my wife and I have been talking about going, because I have been to Scotland and had a great time in Scotland. I've been to most of the countries, certainly in Western Europe, but I have never been to Ireland, and I want to go play golf there.
So
my friends tell me it's great.
My mom and dad played golf like all over Ireland. They were like All Ireland champions, so they know a lot about golf. My mom's passed. My dad's still around. He's played a little golf. What I'm saying is I used to arrange trips to Ireland for people. So when you're ready to go, I need to give you some itinerary tips, because
that would be very helpful.
Amazing.
That's on that list of things I got to get to, and definitely bring the clubs.
Definitely bring the clubs. There's a lot of golf courses, especially in the county I'm from, which is County Meath, which is just north of Dublin, because it's that perfect green, like rolling hills that you imagine Ireland, and so a lot of golf courses there, and horses.
And there's a lot of Irish whiskey there, not just Jameson's.
There is. Well, yeah, you're allowed to try. There was another one. What was that? The other one.
Oh, I can't remember.
We found another Irish whiskey at a bar here, and I'm not a huge drinker. I'm sounding like a big drunk here. I'm not a huge drinker. I didn't drink till I was 45, so I really didn't drink a lot. But this one whiskey, Roe & Co., I think it's Roe & Co.
Yeah.
Roe & Co. Yeah. Whiskey from Ireland. That was really good too. See, the show's it's become like whiskey, but you like tequila, so.
Well, no, I'm a equal opportunity consumer, so I enjoy it, but I enjoy it at the right time and the right amounts. Like you, I didn't hardly drink at all in college or law school.
Yeah.
During that period of time, I was a pretty serious student, and I didn't find going to parties and getting drunk as much fun for me. But at this point in my life, if I come home and if I have the time, a couple times a week, I'll have a lovely cocktail, and it could be any of the above.
That's great. I mean, I didn't drink it. Like at 18, I decided I didn't want to drink because of what I was seeing the people my age, what they were doing, and how it was controlling and taking them and stealing their ambition. So I said nope, and I didn't drink from 18 to 45. And now, yeah, I come home sometimes, and a cocktail is nice. But
Right. And I never drive. I mean, that's just something I don't do.
oh,
That's why if I drink, I'm going to drink at home, or maybe I'll Uber if I'm in a restaurant.
Yeah, that's why I drive home.
I'm totally the
because
same because I will not drive one drink.
One drink
at
and he
3.
won't
I won't
drive.
drive at 8 o'clock.
So I'll
won't.
drive him home.
So
Yeah.
I've even paid for $100 Uber because if I had one drink at 3 o'clock and it's 9 o'clock at night, I wouldn't even drive. I just don't. It's not in my nature, and I couldn't do it. And sometimes it's really tempting. You're thinking, come on, it was 4 hours ago. I probably would be safe, but I just don't play with that. So, sorry, we got a little bit off topic there. But when the people get to the end of your book, right? And they've read and they close the book on the final page, like what do you want their overwhelming feeling to be?
Oh, I hope uplifted. I mean, it's. I don't want to say too much, but let's call it a happy ending.
Okay.
And as a happy ending, and also a resolution. There's a resolution of a conflict that occurs, and it's great when conflicts are resolved. It makes you feel better. One of the things that will keep you up at night are conflicts. I mean, if you're battling with your wife or with your brother or with your mother or even in business, that's the kind of thing that keeps you up at night. Now, I like to sleep. I like my sleep. And I think that we should work towards resolution of conflicts in general. So in this particular book, I think that we find, and I guess I'm giving it away, a resolution that is something that people want to see. And that's important. In fact, when I was giving it to friends to review, that was one of the comments. They say, we really want a happy ending, I guess, or a positive, uplifting ending.
People would expect that, and the people want it. In fact, I'm concerned about someone who doesn't want a resolution in this story. I'm saying, what's going on in your head that you don't want it to be? You don't want to be told like, okay, this is what it's all about, and this is what I think our nature is to want that, right?
Well, I really think so. And there was there was a movie years ago. Tim Reuben was in it called The Player, and it was a decent film. But I remember he was a guy who would decide what would be made by Hollywood into movies, and they said, "Well, what do people want? What do people want? Happy endings. Happy endings. People want to feel good about art." Yeah. And by the way, I think that's important about art. Art is supposed to create that kind of uplifting feeling. It's supposed to inspire you and make you want to work in your own life to create a positive result. And I hope that's one of the things that Tequila does.
Well, I think you're right. I think there's some people that I don't know if it comes from a need just to have a unique thought of something. Some people believe that art has to be aggressive and like in your face and should make you feel in some way that's not exactly great sometimes. I think most artists are like you, want people to enjoy their art, but there's an aspect of art that's to take value in you having a harsh reaction like to their art too. And I think that's not art that I'm interested in seeing, but
Well, you want people to enjoy, but you want to inspire. And I think that's the way I look at it. It is true that there are some artists who write or create stuff that ends up in a negative way. Yeah. And I don't find I enjoy that as much. It's just my own personal point of view. Mm-hmm. And I also think that we want to encourage, as artists, we should encourage people towards the good. Yeah. And I think that's an important job of artists, to encourage people towards the good and the beautiful and the inspiring and the positive.
That's great. Thank you for saying that. I think, and that feels right in our core, that's what we want to lead people to, is the good. And you've got kids, I've got kids, that nature to lead them somewhere good, right? And say that's nice to hear. An artist and a writer who wants that to be their overarching like goal. But hey, thank you so much. Before we have to sign off here, they kick me out of this studio. Is there a parting message you want to? A lot of my listeners are 25-year-olds to 40. Is there a parting message? What should they know today, and what can Tim Reuben like tell them?
Well, there's so many different things to say, but here's one thing I'll say, and that is, I had a career, have had a career, still have a career for over 40 years now. And you can do that, and you have to give yourself to a career, but it doesn't mean that at a later point in life you can't make a right or a left turn and do something else that you've always wanted to do. Tequila is that for me. Remember, I devoted myself to my practice and my business of law, as well as to my family. But the truth is that later on, even as at my ripe old age, shall we say, you can make a turn and do something new and different. So don't worry if you put something off for just a little while, because you have to take care of other business.
Yeah.
You'll have time. And if you just get to it and remember to do it and discipline yourself to do it,
Yeah.
when the opportunity presents itself. And that's basically what I would say to younger people. You'll get there. Don't worry, but you'll have time.
Totally, 100%. I'll reiterate that for myself. I always wanted to do something like this, to read stories, to connect with cool people, to feel what's in my heart. And I started this at 52, right? 51. And so when I started this podcast, and now I have 300,000 people listening and 16,000 subscribers. And it's because it comes from my heart. And I connect with people like you, authentic, real people who have a message that people want to hear. And I did it later because I was devoted to my family too, and my career. And I got a divorce, and fortunately that sent me in a bit of a spiral. But then I came back and said, I'm going to find a place that makes that light that you're trying to create for people. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Wow. So I think we are about ready to. Any parting words before we sign off here, Tim?
Well, only that I certainly hope people look at timreuben.com and give Tequila a shot. Try reading it. I think that you'll find it's easy to read, and you'll find that you'll want other people to read it too, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about when you read Tequila. A lot of things to think about when you read Tequila. And then I promise, if you like it, that I'll come along with a couple of other books, and you'll might enjoy those too.
Great. So how do people get in touch with you? Through the website? Can people get in touch with you? Like just the best way to get to know about you, to know about your work, and to follow you is through your website. Do you have social media?
That's correct. timreuben.com. I'm in Instagram too, so you can find me there, Tim Reuben Author. But that's the best way, through the website. I am still fully working as a lawyer. I'm working as a mediator, and I'm writing, so I'm trying to stay busy, you might say.
Wow. I was going to ask you that earlier, if you've actually retired from law, if it's something is a retirement thing, but it sounds like you're working as a full-time attorney still and writing.
Right. I took on a new case today.
Did your did your wife just banish you to upstairs when the kids left, and she said, go upstairs and write? I mean,
Well, my wife and I, every morning we get up and we walk our two huge dogs up in the hills. So that's every morning, and I hear about everything. But she's a lawyer too, and she's working harder than I am, as far as I can tell. So,
Wow. I mean, you raised 2 attorneys, raised kids, 4 kids. How did you have time? Wow.
Well, I'm a grandpa now, so that part is over. And being a grandpa is great because you don't have the same obligations. You just have the fun. You just get to hug, and then I have a grandson. When the grandson says to you, "I love you, Grandpa," that's there is no price. The priceless line is there. You just are. It makes life great.
I haven't got to that line yet. My oldest is 19, about to be 19. My youngest is 13, so I got a while to cross that bridge, but I know I'm going to love being a grandpa. I did have my kids kind of late in life, so I don't know if I'll be an old grandpa, but it will be something I'd like to experience. Any parting words?
Well, you have the challenge of teenagers. Good luck, my friend.
Oh, my kids are so great and well adjusted. I never had any of that. Okay, my oldest son, few challenges in his teen years. He's the one that's almost 19. He's doing great now. He's doing so fabulous. And there were some challenges, but my other son is just a delight, and he's such an easy teenager. Well, he's only 13, so maybe I'm going to experience it later on. But
yeah, there's time for him. You never know.
There's time. Thank you for that, Tim. Okay. Sorry, did you have? I think it was like you.
I just want to say thanks for coming on, Tim, and I'm looking forward to reading the book.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Well, great. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to get it and read it, and then I can add something to the end of this show about my experience with the book, right? So, I mean, I won't give anything away, I promise. Like, no spoilers. But
well, enough information to whet people's appetite, I hope.
Okay. And are you doing any signings or traveling or promotion in that way?
Well, all my promotion thus far has been not in person, but has been through phone or Zoom or that kind of thing. Honestly, the reason for that is mostly time, because I'm working full time as well.
Yeah.
So I can do things like this easily. I'm sitting here in my office, but the time that it takes to go and spend a day readings, I just don't have it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's an aspect that some, if you hit the best seller list, you might have to go on a few junkets, right, around the country, but maybe you'll be willing then.
Well, if you hit the bestseller list, you don't have to go on any junkets because you're on the bestseller list.
Well, yeah, I mean, but if you want the next one to be a bestseller, I guess the people who are almost on the bestseller list have to go on the junket tours, right? Because they were trying to push it over the line, right?
That's right. I think that maybe I'll be pushed to do that very kind of junket. But right now, as I was indicating, I want to write and I want to do the other things, and I don't want to leave my dogs for very long.
Yeah, I've got 2 dogs myself, and I'm going away for a few days and next week, and I'm like, the dogs. It's this. There's so much work in finding someone you feel okay with to leave your dogs with, because I want the person to come and stay in my house so the dogs are comfortable. I don't want the dogs to go to a place, they're in a strange place and they're anxious and stuff. So, we think of our dogs like family like that too. But hey,
I think you're like a lot of dog owners, that it's part of the family, and there's a lot of love. And remember, they love you and they don't expect anything from you. They're happy to just see you.
Well, I just tell my little dog, she's 2, Gracie, she looks at me on the sofa. She looks with such adoring eyes and love and adoration, and just, you are like a god. She looks at me and I think I need to find someone of my own species that looks at me that way, right? So she just stares like, I love everything about you. There's nothing wrong or bad about you. So,
well, I'm glad you're enjoying them. And I'm sure you'll find someone that cares about you just as much.
I think I will. I mean, so sometimes it happens when we're not looking, right? But thank you so much, Tim. This was really fun. I loved connecting with you. We didn't read as many stories as I thought because I was so engaged with your stories. So that's okay, and that's how it goes. There's no plan for the show. We just go where we go. But everybody should go to timreuben.com and look for Tequila, released now, and buy it and share it, and then maybe buy this the prequel that's coming out soon, and then of course the sequel, and all spirit named, right? Gin and vodka, right? Is that it?
Vodka and
gin or vodka.
Oh,
gin or vodka. Okay.
And actually, it's vodka or gin.
Okay.
Vodka or gin. You think vodka or gin? That's 4 choices: vodka, gin, both, or neither. It's about choice.
That's about choice. Just a glass of water is the.
That's right. You can say no.
Well, but why?
Good question.
Well, thank you. It's about time for me to do my outro here, and I always announce that I'm about to do my outro, which has become my shtick now, and I have to announce that I'm about to do my outro. Thank you for listening. If you guys would like to get involved, go to spirittalkshow.com And thank you, and have a good night. Say good night, Howie.
Good night, Tim. Thank you very much for coming on tonight.
And good night to both of you. It was great.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for spending time with us. Now go make a story worth telling.